Well, hello there. Thanks, guys, for joining us on the Sunday night. Unfortunately, the guy that I wanted to have come wasn't able to make it. It was kind of a short notice. Wasn't able to make the date. Unfortunately, it was a last minute little thing. But we have Norman, who's a little bit not as good of a conversationalist, but he's beautiful to look at. So. Yes. Okay, so today we're going to talk about a number of different things, but first off, I wanted to say I got a feeling he's going to like plow over the table and just knock over all this. This is not a meth lab here. Okay, this is just like a little whiskey, little whiskey bar here. Okay, so we'll get into all that a little bit all over the table. So anyway, for those of you that are just joining us, I wanted to say, hey, we wanted to be able to have a friend of mine who actually is a fantastic bartender, and he makes this phenomenal drink. And he wasn't able to make it, but Norman is by no means a good replacement, but he is a little bit more pretty. So we're gonna get into how to make this drink a little bit later, but we're kind of gonna meander through some old racing stories and a number of other things that we wanted to touch on a little earlier, things that we had mentioned a little bit. And I mean, he's really jonesing for some cheese. Jeez, buddy. All right, we're gonna have to keep him cheese fed. He's really, look at that face. Oh my gosh. Oh, just get it. Go for it. Oh man. All right, we're gonna have to get that. All right. So anyway, for all of a demand. Don't mess with me. That's pretty awesome. Dad puns, dude. That's good. I'll give that one an A. But anyhow, just it allows us to be able to do a whole lot of things that we wouldn't normally be doing. And normally I'm kind of a slave to tuning, so this is a nice welcome change. Norman, don't go. Come on. I got. Oh yeah. Jeez. Okay. All right. So anyway, thank you guys so much for supporting us and doing all the things. There he goes. He'll be back. We'll get him. All right. So anyhow, if you guys saw the race or anything that was there before, I'm going to try and set the stage. My buddy that was going to be here would be able to kind of set the stage a little bit better than me, but I'll do the best I can to try and really make you guys understand what it was like with that race. That was kind of the classic import versus domestic, and these two titans coming together. And it was, I actually rode in that Nissan. It was a S13 with an SR20 swap, and at the time he had the stock bottom end record. So it was a really kind of fascinating. Come on. All right, you just stay there and look. Oh, can't have the honey pot right there. All right. So at the time, that was the SR20 that had the stock bottom end record. I want to say he was somewhere about 640 wheel or so. It could have been as little as 540 wheel, but I had mentioned this on the previous live stream in the fact that he had the stock bottom end record, and it was making about 420 wheel torque, and the Camaro was making about 660 pound-feet of torque. So the two cars, was like one shop versus another shop. I used to use their dyno. I went for a ride in the Nissan, and I was like, man, I don't think that you're gonna have a chance against this Nissan. This thing is so stupid fast. It's like it is absolutely incredible. I was like, dude, that thing is like one of the lightest cars I've ever been in. Has some of the most power I've ever been in. I was like, dude, I just don't know if you're going to be able to swing it, But the Camaro was out there crushing people left and right, beating car after car, and for a little while he was like king of the street. So he was just smoking Supras that were 700-800 wheel. It's just the way that nitrous car came on. It was just so silly fast. So it was actually a two-stage nitrous kit. So if you check out that, it is. If you kind of listen to it, when he hits it, one nitrous stage comes on, and the second one comes on, and the car is just super, super nasty. So it's really tough to beat the way that nitrous hits. Supercharged positive displacement car is pretty comparable in a way. And but anyhow, so again, back to the story. We have two cars, and one is like the import, king at one point, and he wasn't street racing a ton, but we knew the car was absolutely stupid fast. and then the domestic, which was a Camaro, which was a friend of mine, and stop doing that. All right, I'll give him some cheese, okay? Here. All right. So the Camaro was out there crushing people left and right. And what was kind of funny is that, a little bit after that race, he just kept running, and he ended up breaking the differential in the car. And he had a roommate at the time that had some 273 gears in a manual, so 273 gears in an automatic car, and he put them in this car, and it really kind of worked out to his favor because he was in that power band for so long. He was doing like third gear pulls at like 135 and fourth gear pulls at like, I want to say it was like 170 or 165 or something like that. And it was a 2000 Camaro. So between the nitrous and that super long gearing, that car could do some just absolutely silly stuff. But to kind of get back to that particular story, it was just, like I said, it was kind of like this clash of these two titans that were really, looking forward to running each other and seeing how the showdown really went. But so as you can see in that race, it was just like neck to neck, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. And, I think right here. So, but at the top, the Nissan, I think, actually busted a lifter or something like that and just lost a little bit of power. But it kind of worked out really interesting the way that everything happened. But not yet. We're working on that here. So anyway. Is he not beautiful? Is not beautiful. This is not Holly. This is not Holly. Okay, so yeah. Everybody's Holly. Cute Holly, yeah. Anyhow, so hope you guys are relaxing, having a great time with your family. Sit down, and I'll try and do the best I can to kind of, give you some of these stories here. But we'll go through a couple more stories. We'll make this drink here in a little bit. And Norman is very demanding. Look at this guy. Jeez, more cheese. Yeah, that's exactly. See, Norman, he kind of has in my mind, and when I'm talking Norman, he has this big doofus face, like, more cheese. Cheese good. Feels good. Yum. Where you going? More cheese? Nope, we're getting cheese. All right. So anyhow, that was that video was from about 15 years ago, and it was I think they released it on Tampa Racing, and they had to take it down from Tampa Racing because it was like one of the most highly downloaded things. It just ate up all their bandwidth, and within a couple of hours of them downloading that video, because everybody kind of knew who the two guys were, and it was just such a crazy showdown. But God, it's hard. Norman, look at this guy. He is all up on it. I might as well be a female in heat at this point here. Go for it. Just go for it. Oh, that's a good catch. All right. So anyhow, I'll kind of talk about this drink a little bit here, and we'll kind of get into that. I've got dog slobber all over my hands, so I'm going to try and maybe I'll drink. Yeah, I'm going to drink this one. I can't really give this to anybody else here, so we'll go from there. Yeah. Norman wants the drink. All right. So this drink is called a smoky old fashioned. My friend actually kind of learned this recipe from a bartender in Prague, and apparently the guy got second or so with this drink, and it was like some crazy international contest. But the deal is that he had kind of taken the recipe, modified the recipe even better, and a couple other guys he'd given the recipe or kind of tested out, and everybody's been has been like, dude, this is the best drink I've ever had in my life. He made me the drink, and I was just blown away that I was just kind of blown away with how good this drink is. So this is just, I kind of wanted to share with you guys some man stuff here. So, this is an interesting conversation piece of which we'll get to a little bit later. This is a top fuel piston that happens to be melted from Cruz Pedregon. Okay, so when we get to this drink, every single thing it has some significance here. So with this is Whistle Pig. This is a straight rye whiskey, and it is perfect for this. And it takes, you can try and make it with another whiskey, and it's just not quite the same. So So this is of significance. So this is a Jack Ruby cocktail bitters. Takes about 5 drops of this. You must have an orange, which we will run around the rim of the glass. Makes a huge difference there. A simple syrup, which is equal parts sugar and equal parts water. So this is so hard. All right, hold on. I gotta tear off this because he's doing what he does when I'm driving. So when we're driving, I'm sitting there and he sticks his nose up under me and like pushes me. It's almost like I got to jerk like half a lane over. And he's getting very demanding with his nuzzling.
Somebody told somebody else to shut up. This is Norman's stream.
So anyhow, so we're gonna get back to the drink. All right, so anyway, let's recap real quick here. Whistle Pig, oh my lord.
Sorry.
Whistle Pig straight rye whiskey, Jack Ruby cocktail bitters. We have an orange, and we have some special ice, of which we'll get. I actually have you get on that glove. Ice. But with the simple syrup, sorry. And we have, so this is something too, cedar. You have to have a cedar because we're going to smoke the cedar. So this is something that really kind of affected me. Once I kind of smelled smoked cedar from here on out, I've been like drooling. It's like I feel like that dog that hears the dinner bell and they start drooling. So this is an extremely important part of this, and it must be cedar. You can try hickory, you can try some other stuff, but it's not quite even remotely the same. So smoked cedar, we'll do that. And so we're going to do this. So here we go. Double. Let's fix that. All right. So we're going to start with a double. And double shot. All right. We're going to put our 5 parts of, or 5 things of aromatic bitters in there. Oh, yes. That is, all right, and then 2/3 of a shot of our simple syrup. Norman's just like, he hasn't drooled on the table yet, but it will probably happen here. Okay. All right, so we're doing 2/3 of a shot of our simple syrup. And typically, like I said, that's just kind of like a sugar and water equal parts. And again, this is not for like, this is typically not a girl type drink or anything like that. Norman's tuning treat fun. Thank you very much. That's pretty awesome. He's an expensive beast, I'll tell you that. He's got some high class taste. That's right. All right, so we've got our bitters, we've got our simple syrup, and what we're going to do is we're going to put smoke in this, and then we are going to tumble that in there in such a fashion. So this is a pretty sexy smell for me right here. The smoked cedar is an integral part of this. And I don't know if you guys have ever barbecued or anything like that with kind of like a cedar plank or anything, but it is pretty awesome if you have like some salmon or anything like that. All right, so we're gonna let this go. We're gonna stick it in there, and it's gonna smoke up the glass, and then we tilt that over into there, kind of run it around, and then when we're done, we actually dump a little bit of smoke on the top, and it makes quite a nice aroma. It's kind of a sweet, smoky. So there we go. All right. Again, this is just the bar, not a meth lab here. Dang, jeez. What's that? Oh, sorry. Hold on. Sorry. Must focus on Norman. Okay, so there we go. We have this. Now we're going to put it in there, and we're going to put this on. And there is something to be said about, the some guys are like, hey, you can't just like shake it about. You've got to kind of just got to do this, or you can bruise the whiskey. So we're going to do this for a few seconds, and then we're pretty much ready to roll. In fact, what I really like to do is I like to smoke a little bit more of the cedar, and I like to dump it on top. So as I take a little bit, I can smell the smoke, or I'll just I'm working on it there, Ryan Ray. Okay, we're starting here. Things are going to get more interesting here. I know I'm kind of amped up a little bit. I'm highly caffeinated at the moment, but all right. So here we go. I wish I could share that smell, but it is. You can smell the sweetness and you can smell the smokiness. So this is how you serve that drink right there. See that? Norman, come here.
Show me your cheese.
Mm. That's good. Mm. All right, so this once again is called a smoky old fashioned, and we'll kind of do a quick little recap here. Whistle pig, incredibly important ingredient. Kind of hard to make an equal. We tried some Woodford Reserve. It is also fantastic, but it must be rye whiskey. Jack Ruby bitters. Okay, 5 pieces or 5 drops. Simple syrup, 2/3 of a shot. Oh, Norman here. Norman's not really known for catching here. He's just kind of pretty, but sometimes he can catch well. He's like kind of those big doofy, dogs that just like you try and drop him a treat and he's just like, and it's like nowhere even remotely close. He's just kind of doofy. What's that? Cool. All right, so let the games begin. So anyhow, we talked about that kind of race there, and we're going to. Let's get back to this here a little bit here. So I kind of came from a racing family. In fact, if you guys are familiar with Tampa or you've heard about Gandy Bridge, that race that was in that video was from Gandy Bridge, and it's kind of just been through the generations, through the 60s. It's always been the place to race. So it's concrete. It's 2 lanes on either side. And so you can hook, a lot of times people would wait till 2 or 3 in the morning to race, have these big money races. And it's just the classic place to do that. So people would go out, do a burnout, you'd always have to check, make sure the cops aren't there. In fact, it's just always been the place. So it bridges one county to the other. And like I said, it's 2 lanes concrete one way, and it's like 2.5 lanes with an emergency lane on the other side. So I actually, as I got my C5 Corvette back in, so people would race on Gandy Bridge. It was really, really well known for it, and people would come from all around. I mean, people would even come up from Miami or even from Jacksonville in order to kind of race at that place. And many people would even money race from Georgia down here. So the Gandy Bridge was really kind of the place to race, and people would come in trailer cars and all that. And kind of one of the things that I had ended up finding out, when my dad was, oh shoot, I forgot the orange. I'm sorry. Somebody did. Oh, I totally forgot the orange. I knew I was going to forget something. Totally. Thank you for mentioning that. The orange, you want to basically cut a little rind here. So here. Darn it. This is ADD, like the worst way here. But look, I like a healthy piece of orange. Thank you for reminding me here. Naranja, yes. Take this, kind of squeeze it a little bit. You get the oils going, and you actually. So it's not too late. So we're going to run around the rim, kind of both sides there. It leaves a nice little, oily meal, and then we put it in, and it kind of exudes a nice little oily. It's fantastic. Okay. All right. So anyway, back to the racing stories and all that. So my father at one point had done some crazy stuff. So let's kind of talk about, the sins of the father and all that. It's kind of like my father made his living at one point drag racing and shooting pool here. So it's Norman isn't having the story. He just wants cheese. He's just like, I'm really surprised it's not dripping saliva on there, but it might happen. Like I said, he's a good boy. But okay, so my father was making a living shooting pool and drag racing, which is certainly not the nice way to be able to make an honest living there. So he made it work, and he did do some pretty crazy stuff. I've seen a picture at one point of where he had a 62 Corvette that was towing a 63 Corvette towing a 62 Corvette on a trailer out to Gandy to race people in the middle of the night there. But that's kind of where I came from. My father started doing EFI tuning when I was younger, and so I am a second generation tuner. And I've been around tuning my whole life since like the 80s, like when I was just a wee little tyke, like about like that big. I remember my dad doing an S10 swap. So he had a TPI engine that was in out of an 85 Corvette, because that was like the revolutionary engine for the time. That was basically the LS of the time, but even more so in the fact that it was, we're going to fuel injection. It's actually making more power than some of the carbureted stuff at the time. So that being said, my dad took an 85 Corvette engine and put it in like an 82 S10 with an extended cab, and the truck went slower. So he's like, WTF, man. And he basically got into this and being like, hey, why is this thing slower? What's going on here? What's up with this fuel injection? Why is it running rich or this or that or whatever? And basically, he ended up getting hooked up with some people that had some software and definitely had to pull some strings, probably even had to bribe some people. I really don't know that story and how that happened. But he was able to get the software very, very early on when it was pretty much unobtainable. And once he was able to do that, hold on, whiskey. Gotta have your finger right, gotta hold it right. So having the software early in the 80s, this was early 86 when he finally got everything going up and running. And it had a little EEPROM chips. And I remember being around there, kind of, learning what was going on and being raised all the way through that with my father and seeing what he was doing. But anyhow, so he turned that into a business and basically got his car faster and faster and faster. And he was running low 11s. And he bought an 87 Vet, and things kind of changed a lot. So there's not many second generation tuners out there, but I'm happen to be one of them. And it's just a weird thing, kind of being around tuning my whole life. So again, thank you guys for your support. And this is definitely an interesting change, and I can kind of shed some light on how this whole thing works. But one of the stories that I remember hearing about my dad racing back in the day. So again, remember I mentioned that was a 2-lane highway going from basically Hillsborough County. So it was like Tampa to St. Pete. So 2 lanes going that way, and people would have kind of a means of racing there. And then word got out. They were like, oh my gosh, dude, the cops are on the other side here. So like, how are we, what are you going to do? So they were racing, and they actually made a race all the way to the end on the other side. And then they were busting the couple people that were in front of them. So actually there was no way to back up and totally turn around. Turns out I ended up hearing this from multiple different corroborating sources that my father backed up the 3-mile bridge backwards into oncoming traffic to avoid from getting arrested. It was kind of a crazy, really weird thing that I would never try right now. It's absolutely freaking nuts. But he managed to do some stuff like that. I as a later got a C5. I was racing on Gandy, and I was just so freaking ants in the pants, wanting to race everybody, and wanted to kind of see where I was on the totem pole once I got my C5. And so I was racing anything and everything that I could possibly find, and I think I was racing I raced another guy with a C5 that had bolt-ons, and I had some bolt-ons and all that. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna go freaking just, smoke everybody, So I went out, and I ended up finding some sort of other guy that was, racing with an S10. And the moral of the story is it's much, 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 much harder to kind of support the fact that you're racing if you're racing from a dig. Well, if you're racing from a roll, it's much harder to bust you if you're racing from a dig. So that's the moral of the story that I learned. So anyway, I raced this guy, and little did I know that there was a helicopter a couple hundred feet above me. And little did I know that there was a helicopter up there. And I was like, no, nobody's around. This is going to be totally cool. I'm racing from this area to that area. And once I got to the other county, the cops had the road blocked, and they got me. So they took my car. I'm sitting there in the back of a police car, and they drive up to the meet where everybody is, making an example out of me. There was a couple hundred people there, and they're like, oh my gosh, they just got somebody. In fact, this is actually where my wife was actually in the crowd, pointing and jeering and being like, that idiot just got arrested.
We weren't together.
We weren't together at the time, but it was like, yeah, this is before that. But so yeah, the moral of the story is don't stop. It's like, if you're going to do a roll race, just be kind of subtle about it. But anyhow, right now it's whiskey. In fact, let's actually do a little bit more of the smoke. the Gandy is still actually, people still go out there and race. There used to be a Sonic right there, so it was a really cool place to go meet. And but now there is no longer a Sonic. There's still other people that meet there. It is still kind of a big place to go race, but it's just not quite the same as it was. I guess that's kind of part of nostalgia. Where are you going, Norman? Norman, hold on. Yeah, I think. All right, so we might want to bring up Penelope though. Norman's probably had enough. He's probably out. So, not quite enough there.
What was the most oddball setup you had come into the shop?
Oddball setup. I've tuned a couple Gremlins and some odd cars and stuff like that. Oh, I've done some mud trucks, some rock crawlers, and I've done actually a couple of. No, this is not a dab. This is just cedar. Right? It's just a really good smelling thing here. All right, but anyhow, hold on, let's just reorganize this a little bit. So going back to the thing that was basically talking about, hey, you know, going from a dig, going from a roll, it is harder to corroborate. When you see two cars accelerating on the highway, if you're going to do something like that, then that's definitely much more encouraged rather than that. So in a few moments here, I'm going to take a bunch of questions here. Norman's out. We're going to start this. This is not quite working well. All right. Cedar. All right. Just a second. You turn to start. Actually, can you field a couple of those for me, Bing?
Yeah.
Just pick a couple there, please. All right. You got to have a little bit more of this on top of the drink, though. It really makes such an awesome difference when you smell the smoky cedar. So it's a really sweet, nice smoky. Man.
Thoughts on a super chip programmer on an Avalanche?
Okay, so somebody's asking about super chips programmer on an Avalanche. Super chip stuff is pretty decent, but basically, if it is very vague, so just like kind of mainly what they do is something that's good for the masses, but it's not specific. So anytime you can do something that is nice and very specific for a car, it is much better. So I mean, what I can try and do with anytime I tune anything is basically I would like to be able to offer the most custom tune. So it's like I get the air fuel mixture totally and completely 100% on, and try and get the most spark advance that we can get. Whereas other places, when they or other things such as like a Super Chips programmer or any sort of other programmer aren't offering something that is dialed into that degree. So that is so freaking good, man. I wish I could make one for all of you. Unfortunately, I cannot, but it is a sweet, smoky, wonderful, fantastic thing.
Is Norman a golden retriever? He's the size of a mastiff.
Norman is a golden retriever. I will have you know.
Perfect.
He's a little bit different. Some people are used to seeing really big or kind of like
smaller faces.
Yeah, I mean, I used to seeing smaller faces, but Norman is very, very unusual. You'd have to see him in person to really get an idea of what he is like. So he's a very, very unusual dog, and really when you compare him to another dog, he's quite he's up the ladder. He's like a 9.9. That's hot. And I mean he's a 10. Okay, he's a 10. All right, he's a 10. All right. All right, so let's check this out here. All right, somebody said I have an 09 G8. I was wondering what would be the best bang for my buck other than intake volumes of headers. And it can. That actually is the best it is the best bang for the dollar there. So, well, I mean, other than that, it depends on how much you want to spend. So bang for the dollar, trying to find how much you want to spend and kind of go from there. It is a little bit expensive to put a blower on the thing, but you can do really, really good with that. I mean, that heavier car really does need that positive displacement supercharger, and I've said it a million times, LSA the world. It is a fantastic blower, and it is going to pick up bottom end torque unlike anything else. And then once you experience that, it's just like that. You know? So kind of as I said before, if you're associate 1 pound-foot of torque with 1 cubic inch, that's kind of a pretty fair assessment as to what that feels like. Because back in the day, you could have a 350, and the car isn't making 350 pound-feet of torque. So now you can have an LS engine, or even any other engine out there. But if you're making about 1 pound-feet of torque per cubic inch, that is fairly comparable. So let's just say, hey, we're going to have once you put that LSA blower on there in about 8 pounds, you're going to, if you start with 8 pounds, maybe you go up to 11, maybe 12 pounds or something like that. It is going to make boatloads of torque. So at least 600 pound-feet of torque, and somewhere in the neighborhood of that's going to feel like 600 cubic inches, which is what that heavy car really needs.
Somebody asked, are you my dad?
No, I'm not your dad. All right.
Are you tuning the OBD2 system?
What's that?
Are you tuning in the OBD2 system?
Yeah. Just so you guys know, most of the time what I tune with is HB tuners. A lot of people kind of mess around with that same software. It is by far the most user-friendly software, and it really does lend itself to quick changes. It is so user-friendly. It is great. But that being said, there is other things out there that other people are just more accustomed to. Whenever I do tune something out of the ordinary other than LS, usually it is going to be with a Holley. The Holley is incredibly user-friendly and fun to mess around with. Again, I kind of mentioned, I think I did a GT40, and I tuned the car very quickly, start to finish, fixed up a whole lot of goofy things that were going on. Unfortunately, I don't know if the video is going to make the cut because I did have a whole lot of noise and I kind of goofed up some stuff. But fantastic car. The Holley is awesome software. HB tuners, let me also say this for the guys that are kind of like thinking about stuff. Somebody just mentioned Megasquirt. With OEM stuff, it's so freaking hard to beat OEM drivability. So it's the OEM has put in so much effort into factory engine management. It is so tough to beat what is already there. So if you use something like Megasquirt, or use something like Holley, or you have some other engine management that doesn't have all the OEM stuff, it's never going to be as good as OEM, but it's going to be good. It will cover pretty much 99.9% of your needs. A Holley, like I said, is a fantastic unit, and it does some fantastic stuff. Now, you can do so many more race-oriented things with a Holley. Like you could put lasers on the thing and like a leveling thing. So if the car starts to pick up the wheels or something like that, you can put that into a proportional integral, setup that is basically cutting timing from the car to kind of level it out. You can do all sorts of crazy stuff for the Holley, things that I haven't even dreamt about. But if you can dream it up, it can be done with a Holley.
Have you done anything else to the old Fathoff?
No, actually, so Cooper's bill here, after we added windshield washer fluid, and I think we topped off the oil, and and put it back to stock, went to $17,000.
Mechanics lien?
Mechanics. Oh yeah, we're gonna put a mechanics lien on that, and we're gonna own that thing. All right. So it was kind of crazy to me how many people really took that, to that degree, like charging $12,000. But no, I'm glad that we had some fun with that. That was a really fun project. That was just like absolutely slam, bam, get her done really, really fast, and had a hell of a lot of fun doing it. So thank you, Thug Light. All right, let's field some more here. Somebody asked, when am I going up to Pennsylvania? I did see that a little while ago. I'll actually be up in Pennsylvania again at that same dyno, which is Keith's Pit Stop, somewhere around, the 20th through the 26th, I believe, is what will be up there. So,
why don't you work on anything other than GM?
Good question. Why don't I work on anything other than GM? Here's the thing. So, it's like learning another language in a lot of ways. So the Holley has speed density stuff. If I were to get into doing Fords, it's like learning a whole different nomenclature deal. It's like everything's named slightly differently. Things do slightly different things. So it's kind of like, hey, can you please do this and speak to me in Japanese like now? It's like learning a different language. A lot of things are similar, but conjugation or like placement and how you do stuff is totally different. So kind of things are just totally and completely different. I've thought about dabbling in some Dodge stuff. I have tuned a number of Dodge vehicles. Pause out there, beautiful thing. Oh, is that? Oh, he did get that cheese there. I didn't even see that. There is now a massive amount of dog slobber all over the kitchen table there. When will Leroy hit the sevens? Love seeing him in Omaha this weekend. I don't know. I'm gonna guess there's gonna be some tweaks that need to be done, but it is definitely a process that is so darn hard. We'd have to probably be able to cut. Probably gonna get thrown up on here in a second. So the 60 foot is gonna have to come down just a little bit, but basically, you know what? I think we're gonna have Norman tune the Fords. Yeah. Nice. But the power is there. Being able to ramp the power in sooner with Leroy is a big limitation there. So you're at the limitation of the tire. There's just a whole lot of things that are there. I really do want to try and do more track support. I'm usually so darn busy doing stuff. So Garrett's out doing his thing, and he has some pretty good ideas on what's going to work. And a lot of times it does. Sometimes it doesn't. That's racing, you know. So it's like I might have a million ideas, and maybe one of them might work after that. And that's kind of the way that it was when we did the wind tunnel testing. Is that a lot of stuff that seems like it would work out good on paper doesn't exactly work out in the real world. But
like cardboard body.
Yeah, like cardboard body panels. You know, I really thought that it would be good on paper, but lunky dog. All right, so I do have a diffuser for Leroy. In fact, that is one thing that I do have up my sleeve. I had one on my C6 Z06, and what we had done is we stuck the diffuser underneath the bottom, and it should kind of suck that rear end down. I think we did pick up a little bit of downforce, but it is something that should work out. We're going to clean up that air, and I can't wait to try that on Leroy. That is going to be something that is a big concern, though. So we got to adapt that. It was for a C6, and we're going to put on a C5 and see if we can get that thing to work out. Up rev, I have no idea what up rev is. Is that please?
It's like a tuning software.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's a tuning software, but is it for Subarus or something like that? I love you too, Des Bryant. Sounds like Des Bryant that played for the Bucs. How do you feel about the North Star motors? I have a 97. It's I had a North Star motor in an SRX. Yeah, SRX. And it's a very decent platform. A 4.4 kind of leaves you wanting a little bit more as far as torque. What's a pretty cool North Star motor is the V series North Stars. So like the STSV is a freaking cool engine, but it just doesn't really quite hold a candle to the others. It was kind of like this goofy, somewhat, you know, it was like the teenager version. It's like not totally grown up. It was just kind of an awkward stage of that. So basically, the North Star is a 4.4 liter with a 1.9 liter blower on it, and it's just an awkward deal. You can go pretty quick with it, but not that quick. So I think I have a customer that has the record with that. I think he went like 12.0 or something like that with an STSV. So it's like a 4,400 pound, 4.4 liter supercharged behemoth. Somebody asked Miata goals. Miata needs to be made a little bit safer. So coming up sometime soon, we'll probably be putting a roll bar in it, and there's going to be some other things. You know, it might. It's going to be like probably it's going to be somewhat of a cage. It'd be like a 6 point. So it's a roll bar, 6 points, somewhat cage on that side of the car. It's all right. Let's see. Did anybody answer that upper end question there? Cadillac
it's a Nissan though?
Okay. Have I ever tuned a Cadillac 2.0 T? I have not. I have done a 3.6 twin turbo, and we still, by the grace of God, still have the record with that. Different software, but HP Tuners does support that thing pretty darn good. All right. Thank you guys for the Miata. It is an absolute blast to drive. It is it's the most anti-foo-foo Miata, all right? He's a little tough behind there, all right? It's not some little, like, you know, one. All right, so UpRev is some GTR and Nissan tuning stuff. HP Tuners does have support for that. Now, even though HP Tuners does support it, it is still a totally and completely different language. So I'd still have to kind of learn some stuff. I wouldn't say absolutely no, but highly unlikely because I'm so busy with the other stuff that I have. If I had a car for a while, and then I could probably be able to dabble around. Wow, Norman, you're gonna give me a chubby.
Ew.
All right, bud. He's all right. Come here, bud. He's really demanding. I think he thinks I have a little bit more cheese and all that, but no, he ate it all, and I'm still like got this slobber slake right here that I'm trying not to put my hands in. Somebody asked why no sequential shifter for Leroy. Basically, in a way, that's kind of like overstepping the line of still being a true manual. So it's like it doesn't really have the H pattern anymore. And I totally get that. I'm totally and completely backing Garrett with that. I mean, I think what he did was the absolute best choice for what he could have done with that thing. So it's one of those. It's just you want to kind of somewhat keep it, still a manual, but it makes it easier to get in the gear, so it's a little bit faster. Let's see here.
So we need to bring our dogs up there.
I don't know if I'm going to bring my dogs up to Pennsylvania. We've done that before and like snuck them in hotels. Like we have 4 of one dog, and that is a chore because when one of them's got a poop or something like that, and you're smuggling dogs out the back door and then back in the front door and whatever, it's just I don't know. I would like to go to Australia, and Australia would be freaking awesome. Except I think the time that they go to Australia is not a good time. I think it's like on New Year's Day or something like that. So I'd love to tag along with Garrett and Cooper, but I have some friends in Australia, and that would be a really cool thing. I'd really like to experience it. I'd really like to go to a couple of other things that are like, have to do with some other racing events, some bigger racing events. We're going to try and get into that type of thing. There is an event called King of the Hammers, and it's going to be it's a ways away. And what it is, it's like this Jeep off-road race, and it's kind of crazy. These guys have these like $200,000 Jeeps, and they race them across just about whatever. Nothing gets in their way. They'll freaking break stuff, and they'll change wheels, tires, axles, whatever in the middle of the course. And it's just absolutely nuts. But it is something I do want to try and do. A lot of them are LS powered and so on and so forth.
George
But
Abraham just sent me that.
hello, George. Look forward to seeing you up in Pennsylvania, brother. All right. Let's see here.
Are you the reason why Cletus has a golden retriever?
Yes, we are.
I kind of forced that dog on him.
yeah. Holly was kind of like
I strong-armed him.
Yeah, we kind of strong-armed him into getting a golden retriever. So that was a fun thing, and he had his doubts, but he's no regrets. He's absolutely head over heels in love with Holly. She is fun. She's just a fluffy, goofy, dumb dog, and I love her. But she is. I like to, sometimes I'll just go into his office and I'm just like, oh, there you go. I'm gonna get you, and I'm just gonna pick her up and I'll throw her down and like squish her and do all sorts of other stuff. And she likes to play all sorts of dumb with me. So she'll take a toy and she'll throw it at me and toss it with her. But she's a great dog. But
Jeremy.
oh man, I don't know.
No.
I have 2 girls' dogs, and one is like. Maybe we'll get one of them up on there. They're a little happy right here. I think one of them's about ready to go into heat, and she's not thinking clearly because we have a big bear, and
No.
Oh no, so
No, we don't. No.
Norman's back.
He's back.
Hey, buddy. Oh yeah, Norman's back. I don't know of any other tuners that have golden retrievers. In fact, I've seen a whole lot of little foo-foo dogs, and our dogs will eat foo-foo dogs. Okay, but. Oh man! All right, so let's get back to a couple of things. Oh, Norman, yeah. So we're periodically just going to toss cheese at Norman and see if we can catch it. He's really not that good at catching, kind of like I said. But all right.
Has Norman been doing any tuning?
Norman, he's done some practicing on Coopers and a few other things, but we gotta when I'm not looking, I've really got to pay attention now because Norman he's a little rambunctious. I think he's feeling like he's going to replace either me for tuning, or he's going to replace George for reporting. But He's all right. Send a pterodactyl.
How's
All right,
my
let's see how
ride?
good his catching skills are. All right, so we can start count by how many he's caught. We're gonna go, for 10. So let's go 10 here. So let's go 1 for 1. That's good. That's good. All right. Well, we'll just keep it up here. All right. Oh, see, 1 for 2. 1 for 2. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Des Bryant, if it's a 454 SS, all right, and if it is OEM software, all right, over there, then I cannot tune it. That is a chip car. Oh man. Come on. All
1
right.
for 3.
Okay. So, in regards to King of the Hammers, if any of you guys have any, wow, you see, he wasn't even close. That was that 1 for 3.
1 for 4.
1 for 4. Okay. King of the Hammers, though, if anybody knows somebody with King of the Hammers and they can point them to my direction, please, God bless you. That would be awesome. Hopefully, I can.
That was
1 for 5. That was a bad throw. That was one mulligan. We'll do a mulligan on that one.
Why doesn't your wife turn wrenches?
She's
done that. So let's do it again.
Yeah. My wife did. All right, so hold on. We're getting way too ADD here. All right, so let's go back here. Anyway, if anybody knows somebody that's going to King of the Hammers and needs some help, I've heard there's a whole lot of vehicles that needed tuning, that make decent power, but they just don't run well and all that. So that being said, if there are some people that anybody knows that's going to King of the Hammers, please send them my way. I would greatly appreciate it. So, we have a project car hopefully in the mix here coming up very shortly, and it is going to be something that should be competitive with Neighbor. So we're going to, I'm going to be
It's
looking.
gonna destroy him.
It's going to be hard to destroy him.
Just
I mean,
kidding.
no, Neighbor's got an awesome thing going, and that is super freaking cool. But it's going to be it's going to be difficult to be able to get and source all the parts. I mean, Garrett's got a really good thing going, but I'm going to try and look to some sponsors for some support and hopefully be able to make this project happen. So, ideally, one of my things that I wanted to talk with you guys about, and I know I've mentioned this a number of times. Hold on, whiskey. And she's done. All right, so yeah, so hold on, I'm starting to feel it here. I'm like, what was you talking about?
No one
Okay,
knows.
back to all right. So with the project car, what I was hoping to do is eventually, we'd like to be able to give veterans a lot of support. This is one of those things that's like, hey, look, this is where I had mentioned in the Miata video saying I got a soft spot for veterans and responders, and for guys that are watching this, I have a lot of guys that I come in contact with, and it is difficult for the guy that goes to 9 to 5 to relate to somebody that willingly goes and risks their life day in and day out. And for those people that are out there doing that, God bless them. It's a totally and completely different lifestyle to go to work and know that you could be risking your life day in and day out, whether it's a firefighter or a police officer, or sometimes it's even a security guy. But I mean, and it's not just that. It's like there's a lot of guys that are first responders that are, might fly a helicopter or something like that. It's kind of crazy. But for those people that do things like that, I think that we as a society should be able to try and help them out in some fashions. And some of those guys that are paramedics, they do see a lot of crazy crap that eats away at their, it's like a little chink in the armor every single, or a little hit in that wall, so it's like. So anyhow, what I want to do is I want to try and be able to build some cars and be able to take guys like that out for rides and be able to give them the race experience. So if we can have something like a drift car, and I can be able to take guys out and be like, hey, check this out. I'm gonna, if I can get maybe 10, 12, 15 guys and do this a couple times a month, if I can get some veterans and maybe make it even over the course of a couple days and be like, hey, look, we're gonna do drag racing experience. We're going to do a karting experience, and we're going to do a drifting experience. And with a drag racing experience, ideally, one of the cars that I'd like to do is something like that, very much like a Neighbor car, something that makes some silly power. Ideally, I really would like to be able to have a car that could pull the wheels with 4 250-pound guys in there. That would be pretty sick. I'm not 250 pounds, but I mean, if it had the ability to do it. So it's like, if we need to build some sort of, like I don't know, like what the hell they call it, like a dune buggy, and make it so that we have enough ballast in it, and you can be able to cut like 1.5 or 1.4 60-foots and pull the wheels on it with 4 people in it. Give these guys an experience that would absolutely last the rest of their lives. Something that they'd go home and tell their families that, hey, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. That's what I want to do. So I, you know, and with the support of you guys, hopefully we can do something like that. Is that I want to be able to give, you know, guys that are deserving, you know, patriots, guys that are, you know, really done a service to our society, something that is, you know, that I can share with them and be like, hey, look, you guys totally deserve this. Let's go ahead and do this. You know, let's have some fun. And I want these guys to basically forget all their problems and forget all the other junk that they've seen and experienced, and be like, you're 12 years old going on a roller coaster for the first time, and it would be freaking sweet. So, oh, Norman just ate all my cheese again. Darn it. Stubby Bob could do it. You know, in fact, actually, that would be really, really cool. Now, I think the thing with Stubby Bob is that it's probably only a 2-seater. So, I mean, trying to get a 4-seater to be able to pull the wheels in would be crazy hard to be able to do it. I did meet Brent from PFI, and unfortunately, it was a very short meeting. I would love to be able to do some stuff in the future with him. And I'd like to do some sort of work with him and all that stuff, man. So he's a really cool guy. He's got an awesome vibe, and he is, and he's somebody that I would definitely like to do something with in the future. I need to be able to kind of network with a number of other people that kind of have like a similar vision. There are some other places that I've met, and you know, I've kind of expressed how I want to do some stuff, and it, you know, it's just going to take a little while. So I mean, you guys are helping the channel grow. That is something that helps to be able to do something like that. But again, you know, it's something like the guys that have really dedicated a lot of their time and stuff to our country. We're so blessed to have them. And if we didn't have stuff like that, the order would not quite be the same. You know, we are a first world country for a reason, and we are extremely blessed. So because of these people, they deserve, you know, some stuff like that. You know, if we can do something. And that's just a couple day thing. So honestly, it would be great to be able to do that. But anyhow, somebody asked what happened in the limo. The limo is actually down at the drag strip at the moment, and I think we are going to do some stuff without it. I'd have to ask Garrett what's up with the veteran, and it would be. He does have some big plans for it. I'm not going to spoil any of that, but it would be something that is very, very cool. No. All right. So at some point, we're going to show you guys some of the skills that Norman has. He's a very well-trained dog. My wife's put a lot of time into him, and he knows something like 30 some odd commands or something like that.
Blanket.
Yeah, he can bring her a blanket and get your water. He can do all sorts of stuff. He's a pretty darn awesome guy. Hire me. All right. What about Andy at Diablo Formula? He is a friend of mine. He's been a customer of mine for a long time, as well as hey Sam, I see you there. He's had enough cheese. All right, I think we're gonna have like some sort of a
seriously.
There's gonna be like some constipation thing going on here. I don't know. Right, so I really don't want to give him any more cheese, but I'm making him. Yeah, I'm not really making him work for it here. All right. He does this thing where you like throws. All right. Somebody asked me. What's that?
Any advice for 3-valve Mustang?
3-valve Mustang. I've seen a couple of other tuner shops put blowers on them, and I mean that's the classic Mustang thing to do. But I might answer that one. But the 3-valve Mustang, I've seen blowers work on those things really, really good. I mean, the Vortex stuff is pretty darn awesome for the Mustangs. That would probably be what I would do. But again, always, you know, open up the exhaust if you can. And I mean, with Fords, a lot of these guys don't run methanol kits, which just blows my mind. I mean, it's like throw some methanol on top of it and run a you know, a blower, put some headers on it, and let her rip, man. That thing will make some good power. So
where's the 5.0?
5.0.
Are they talking about the wreck for Garrett's wreck one? I don't know.
All right, in regards to the engine out of, no, that would have been a 4.6 supercharged.
I don't know.
Okay. I don't know which 5.0. Yeah, Dalton, what do you mean about where's the 5.0? Because I think that was a 4.6 supercharge that came out of that. I believe, I don't know if he still has it or not. You'd have to ask Garrett. All right, so Matt from Denver does stuff for the vets all the time. That's awesome. Kudos to him. Ultra 4 rig and a 350. Interesting. That's okay. He's also squeezing extra powder of a 350Z. I haven't tuned 350Zs. I know a guy named Martin. He's actually local. He's really well known in the Nissan community, and he tunes Nissans all the time. I've stuck around when he's dynoed them a bit, but I haven't really seen before and after so much.
What's up with my car? We're dynoing this week.
Yeah, we should be dynoing the we should be dynoing the Porcopotamus this week. I've had a bunch of cars that we needed to get out, and it's kind of just been one of those back burner things. You know, it is. It's been one of those things that does take some time to kind of get to. So I got to get all the big paint work out of the way, and then you know, kind of go from there. Oh yeah, we'll talk about this piston here in just a moment here. Let's answer a couple of these others. Somebody asked, do I tune Excel Gen 7 computers? Currently, I do not. If you have that type of stuff, and if you brought it to me, I could possibly do it. It's just I prefer that you guys be acquainted with the software and be able to get by with it pretty quickly. Sam, you asked about, can I run C16 with factory O2 sensors? Yes, but not for long. Just a little bit. It doesn't take a lot because that is leaded, and the leaded does coke up the O2 sensors. And before too long, you will have some O2 sensors that are lazy and possibly giving some incorrect signals. Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Garrett did have a Kaedu that was going to go to the neighbor. I honestly don't know where that went. We might still have that.
It's still above
it might, yeah, it might be above his office at the moment here or something like that. I really don't. I think it might be. I don't know what he has plans for that. So good question. I'm not totally sure. All right. Norman might be able to lick this, but that's about all it is. Okay, somebody asked, does Faster Proms port Magnuson superchargers? Glad you asked. Interesting thing about the Magnuson supercharger. So if it's for a rectangular port head, what's crazy is that Magnuson actually takes that port that is a rectangle and they turn it into like an inverted cathedral port. It's so odd. If anybody's seen it, I did post pictures of that a long time ago. You'll probably never ever find them. I have no idea where that is, but we do port that, and it's basically just the bottom shell. The front side is totally good. So that was on, if you bought a 2010 Camaro on up or any sort of Corvette with an LS3-based power plant, the bottom shell of the Magnuson is somewhat restrictive, so it's kind of weird. But yeah. Unfortunately, I probably won't build a Honda. The Hondas are pretty cool. My buddy is really, really good with building them, but it probably won't happen. I'm a torque junkie, and once you've experienced that kind of torque, never, ever, ever want to go back to a small motor. See, this is what he does when I'm driving. It's so. You're a needy little girl, aren't you?
Needy little girl.
All right. Somebody asked, why did you name him Norman? Well, my wife's a big Walking Dead fan and actually a Norman Reedus fan. So
before that,
what?
Boondock Saints.
Oh well, yeah. Boondock Saints was a really important. Yeah, it's a pretty cool movie. Boondock Saints. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. Very entertaining, goofy movie. Norman Reedus in that, and so we've kind of been, been around. Oh my goodness. But Norman is, kind of named for Norman Reedus.
Fitting.
Yeah. All right. So let's see here. I have a. So, is there a schedule when you go up to Keith's Pit Stop and I can get in for a turbo 4.8 Silverado? Yes, you can. You can call us on our shop line, which is listed there, or email, and we should be able to get you on the schedule and be able to take care of you. I got to be able to meet the Boosted Boys and do something in order to do some sort of build off. But at the moment, I think I am going to undertake the build that is going to kind of rival Neighbor. We're going to do something with that first, and I should be able to, when we do something like that. Brady, what's up, dude?
Are all of the cars that we own tuned by you?
Of course. No, actually, no, that's not true.
Not the truck, but I'm not allowed to own anything that you can't tune.
So my wife is a
Very
big fan of Ford, like F-350s or something like that, and she just has a
250.
soft spot on, or 250s
And a
or whatever,
Supra.
and a
Supra
Supra.
real
Okay,
bad.
never gonna own a Supra. Sorry, not gonna own something that I can't tune. I'm sorry, it's just that way. Don't call me control freak, but that's just the way that is. When is the LS7 going to the Dale truck? I have no idea. You'd have to talk to Garrett about that. Tune or some price on a supercharged Buick 8. I'm currently racing a truck with one. This is something that you guys could do. Yes, it is possible. I have done a number of vehicles that have that 3.8, but it's been years since I've tuned one. Actually, that's not true. I did one, I think, probably about a couple months ago. Really, they're a little weird, but I mean, they do make decent power. The fact that it has that blower makes that smaller motor perform as if it's like a 6.5 liter engine. So it's a pretty interesting deal. All right.
Are all of your cars tuned? Yes.
Yes, actually they are. I have a diesel truck of which we'll probably share some knowledge with you guys about at some point. It is a pretty darn good daily driver. It's a big pig, and I've got it really totally old man mode, and it's got a topper on it. It's really fugly, but it's really good for speeding, and the cops don't even think anything about it. So there's been many times I've gone by 90 miles an hour, and I'm like, oh my God, I just crap the brick, and they just let me ride. So thank God I have not gotten a ticket with that darn thing, but it's been, even though my old man truck is tuned by another tuner, Pila Motorsports, they really specialize in diesels. I don't tune diesels. That's the only thing.
Can you remote tune for somebody who lives far away?
Yes, I can. I do remote tunes a lot. Oftentimes it's hard for me to keep up with them, but I do them, and I can definitely give you support with that. We email back and forth as far as the data log, and
Sometimes it's a little slow.
and sometimes it is a little slow. Sometimes I'm in and out of town a whole lot, so yeah, I can do a remote tune. So
have you dyno tested Norman?
He is about
He
a
makes
quarter
all the
horsepower. At least a quarter
He
horsepower.
makes all of it.
Norman has the stamina of a bottle rocket. Okay, he's he's so
doesn't like it.
rambunctious, and it's we have another dog, Jericho, who's not particularly good looking or anything like that. Well, you throw the ball, and Jericho is going, and Norman's out chasing him, but he gets tuckered out by about the third or fourth ball throwing. So we have a female dog named Penelope, and she's a sexy, perfect gymnast. All right, she's a hot little girl. We got Tori, and she's a cute little girl, and we have Dory, and Dory's out getting some special training right now. She'll be back, and sometimes you guys will meet her. But Tori, she's a pretty girl. She's a pretty girl. She's a little young right now. Yeah. So this is the one that was trying to hunch the other one, right?
What dog has the most dog power?
Dog power? Gosh, I'd have to
Penelope.
say. Oh yeah. Penelope has the stamina of a diesel engine. Okay, she's on a whole nother level. In no way, shape, or form could you ever compare anything to Penelope. She would die before she stops chasing the ball.
Yeah,
she's thick. I mean, you pick her up, and she's a small little girl, but it would be like picking up a gymnast. You're like, oh my gosh, there's no ounce of fat on her, and she is just straight thick muscle. So she's got a big old booty. It's kind of funny when she walks by and kind of see her shaking it. It's just kind of funny. So
have you tuned a new Hemi?
I have not tuned a new Hemi. The newest Viper I think that I tuned, I think was the 13 or something like. And that's kind of dabbled with some Vipers, and that's about really it at the moment with the Dodge stuff. But I will probably do some more at some point. So somebody asked about what is the.
I work at Pila.
Oh, do you?
Accelerated weather.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Well, maybe you worked on the on this white beast. That's pretty awesome, man. By the way, tell Adam I said hello, and tell him he should tune in sometime and possibly be a subscriber. So that's pretty cool. I haven't talked to Adam in probably about 2 months or something like that. And something that we might do is with my truck is I'm at the limit of the transmission, but it's kind of crazy. Is that basically the transmission for that truck is like $4,000, and I just don't want to drop that right now. But
Ellis, swap a Supra for your wife.
Ellis, swap a Supra for your wife. Wow. Dude, you got to get cut off, man. You're going to cost me a lot of money, a whole lot of money. All right, if you can fund it, maybe we can do it, okay? All right, looking to switch to EV5. would keeping meth injection still benefit? Yes, I did think I addressed that on the E85 video. So let's really quick here. Let's kind of talk about this real fast here, and I'd probably say we're gonna need to kind of wind down here fairly shortly here. So again, real quick, pie chart: 100%, 93 octane. Okay, if you are using methanol, so think of a third of that pie chart as being 116 octane. If 116 octane and 93, you got somewhere in the neighborhood of like about 100 octane blend on average there. That being said, that helps out a lot. So, but if you can take the other 2/3, so the other 2/3 that are 93 currently, if you take that and you put that as E85, that is 107 octane. So you really up your octane, quite a bit. Plus your cooling. So it depends on if you have, what is your forced induction. So that would. I'm not really drunk. I got like the teeniest little.
You did just stop your story to tell Norman he's pretty.
Yeah,
Just saying.
But he is. But I mean, it's like if you're in the presence of a thing like Norman.
Okay, so as a tuner, did you go to school or are you self-taught?
Okay, so kind of as I said a little bit earlier, I've been around tuning my whole life, pretty much since I was about 5 years old, 4 years old. And, my dad passed away when I was 18 years old. So I had learned a bit at the time, but I didn't really have anywhere near the knowledge of what I should, to really kind of go full-fledged tuning. But basically, all of us, depending on your age, what do you really know when you're 18 years old? You don't know that much, and as you get older, you find out, the more you know you don't know. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't go to school for any of this. There were no schools for this at the time. I've been asked to teach on this a number of times. I've kind of declined because I didn't really want to have more and more, competition. But it's kind of like at this point, I'm not as concerned about it. I like the YouTube thing. It is a little bit different. And it's, the tuning might slow down a little bit, but we'll see how it kind of goes. So. The piston. Oh, yes. Yeah. All right. So this, and this is a off the beaten path story here. And I could probably ramble for this a little bit. But this right here, though, so this is an aluminum rod that came out of a 500 cubic inch engine that they use in Top Fuel Funny Car. So what's interesting about that is the fact that with nitro, if they go too rich, they actually burn out. So not lean, it's the complete opposite of a gas engine. But it's kind of crazy. There's you can kind of see it right there. It's a ringland that's really, she's gotten a little hot right there. And yeah, there's still some of the oil ring right there kind of stuck in there. It's kind of crazy to see. But yeah, this did come out of Cruz Pedregon's Top Fuel Funny Car some time ago, in 03, apparently. But yeah, I've had this thing for a while. The gentleman that gave me this was the guy that got me going to Pennsylvania. And that's kind of an interesting story. I would like to mention that a little bit. I'll try and not go off on a crazy tangent on that, but this is kind of how, what's that? Yeah, I probably will though, so just be patient with me though. So after my dad had passed away, I had a family friend that was one of my dad's friends. He got me coming up to Pennsylvania, and before you know it, I had a whole bunch of clientele up in Pennsylvania, and I ended up, finding a dyno and then finding another dyno. Man, we were like 1 for 9 or something.
It's mostly my fault.
Yeah. So anyhow, the gentleman that got me going up there is named John Pataki. He's been a family friend for years. And, he was really awesome in the fact that he and his wife kind of took me under their wing. We went hiking with them, and then one thing led to another. And, he's like, hey, do you want to start tuning on my 92 Vet? And then he's like, hey, I got an 05 Vet. Do you want to start tuning on that? I'm like, absolutely. I do it all the time. And we started building combinations and all that. And he was like, hey, I got some other friends that have vets. You want to come up here and we can start setting things up? I was like, hell yeah, man, that worked out great. So he changed my life for the better, and God rest his soul. He kind of died from the same way my father died from cancer. Some years, it's actually been about 2 years now. But John has been a major player in my life for making it for the better. 1 for 10. See, I told you he's not that good at catching. But yeah, he kind of, I like the fact that I can go to Pennsylvania, and it's a very interesting centralized location. It's super cool in the fact that, I'm in the middle of nowhere, but I've been so blessed to be able to have so many different clients. I mean, I got guys that come from Delaware, New York, New Jersey, New Hampshire, freaking Ohio, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, to come up and have me tune their cars. So it's pretty awesome. But yeah, John Pataki did some development for some Top Fuel stuff because he's like a urethane, kind of was a urethane specialist. So he made a bunch of different parts. This right here, it's kind of crazy. You can almost like see the welding marks on that thing. It's so cool to kind of hold it in your hands and feel the skirting and the coating of how it's rubbed off and how fast that would have happened. But he still he still makes, his company still makes parts for Top Fuel cars, and he makes blower seals. He makes the toxic orange wheelie bar wheels, and it's really interesting. So that's kind of that story, and that's where the piston came from. And he kind of led me to meeting other people, such as actually on the last live feed we had Dickie Venables was there just hanging out, saying a couple things, and I kind of didn't really cultivate that as much. But Dickie Venables is a Top Fuel crew chief for Matt Hagan, and I get to see him only about once a year when I go to the Gainesville race, but he's an awesome guy and has a tremendous amount of knowledge. All right. You want to see some Norman beauty? Norman, will you lick that? Or just lick it right here. Yes, indeed. Nitro does have its own oxygen like NOS, so it's in a way it's almost like a dieseling type effect, but it is the most highly oxygenated fuel methanol, other than methanol. So nitro has the highest oxygenation, and then you have methanol. So somebody asked if you are still going to benefit with the 85 with methanol, and the answer is absolutely yes. So, and I often liken the two as one is steroids, the other one's the perfect diet. So if you have methanol and E85, they work together. Put the two together, and it's going to be freaking sick. It definitely works. All right. Let's see here.
What's a good way to combat heat soak on what?
Okay, somebody asked, what is a good way to combat heat soak? Please elaborate a little bit more on that. What is the combination? So, you know what? I think somebody asked if the Miata would gap neighbor. I think it would. That's a good one, but I think it would pretty bad actually.
Sean from All Americans said Norman needs a fresh pot.
Oh, fresh pots. Sean, thanks for watching, buddy. All right, would it be worth the swap the throttle? Yes, it would. Somebody said Calmero Gasper body. I would definitely, the TBI stuff, depending on what you're doing, I have a whole lot of guys that are taking those square body trucks and doing an LS with a turbo swap. Girls are getting crazy back there. Unfortunately, the throttle body injection 350 is like, it makes a little bit of bottom end torque, and that's about all that it does. It doesn't have any sort of up top power. It's really anemic. So if you can change that for something like that, I would absolutely encourage it. It can be a little bit expensive, but it would really be helpful. All right, what is good? All right, let's see here. Your Golden's going crazy over Norman. Yeah.
Well, he's pretty.
I guess if I were a female Golden, I would be as well, but
Thoughts on LS3 headers, stainless coated Texas Speed versus eBay headers?
Somebody asked, did your wife used to mod on TR Sings Kill Stories?
Yes.
Yes.
Who asked that?
Somebody said John something. All right, here. What motor would you put in a third gen Camaro? I have a LSA the World. So even if you're on a budget and you're like trying to do something, so the question is, what would you put in a third gen Camaro? Third gen Camaro, it's certainly not the most aerodynamic, but it's a very decent platform. It's like surprisingly light. So if you can put something with some boost on there, I actually just ran into another customer that was having a build just like that, and I was persuading him into doing even a smaller motor, like a 5.3 with a blower on it, heads and cam. I was like, dude, it'll be so nasty. So that might be something to consider, but something something like that. But thanks for the subs. Oh man, see, look, I lost all my smoke.
Shots for Harambe.
Shots for Harambe.
Oh
God. That's probably all the time I'm gonna have to be able to make another drink right now.
Straight whiskey here.
Straight whiskey. All right, I'll do a here. I'll do another little bit for you. Okay.
Will your flex fuel sensor work on a Dodge Ram?
Sorry, flex fuel sensor working on the Dodge Ram.
Yes.
I'm not sure. I think Dodge has a flex fuel sensor of their own. I don't know exactly. It might be a Continental sensor.
How smashed is Norman?
I don't know. Norman really handles
He's
his
really
alcohol
drunk on
really well.
cheese.
Yeah, he's drunk on cheese. All right.
Really drunk on cheese.
Dang, man.
Next update on Poncho. Are you taking him to the private track?
Yeah, I think we don't know when we're going to be able to go do that. That might be a couple
They didn't
weeks
ask
out.
about private track. I was just telling you.
Okay, somebody is asking about Poncho. What are we going to be able to do with Poncho? I have to do a few things. I probably won't be able to put the roll bar in there before I take Poncho to the private racetrack, but hopefully we'll be able to be drifting another car there. I wanted to introduce to you guys a guy that I know that is a master fabricator. It is so cool. I want to be able to share his story with you guys. He's got some really cool stuff. He's definitely not the most domestic guy, but he's really amazing. His metal fabrication is off the chart. So definitely want to check him out. I should be able to share with you one of the cars that he built. I want to drive it and drift it on this private track. I'm going to try and maybe drive the Miata or drift the Miata. I'm going to drive the Miata as fast as I can around the racetrack. I really would like to compare how fast I would go in a very well prepared shifter car.
Have another one, Jeremy.
So
right.
I do want to try and do that, and we'll do a comparison, and we'll see how that goes.
I'm in North Carolina. What area would be closer for me, Florida or PA? What part of North Carolina?
Yeah, what part of North Carolina? That would be cool.
People want to hear the story of how you met Garrett again, because you didn't see it last time.
Matt, 3%, dude, God bless you, man. Sometimes, one of the things my mom told me as she was growing up is, when I was messed up over one thing or another, she's like, this too shall pass. So I want to try and be able to shine a light in a dark place, and I definitely want to be able to help you guys have some fun. If it's something that you've learned from me or vicariously, whatever it might be, I want to try and be able to help out you guys, and I really do appreciate you watching. It's pretty cool. I never thought I'd even be able to do something like this and be able to kind of share with you some joy like Norman or something like that.
Norman's the best joy.
Norman's a good joy. So, and I'll tell you what, he's an absolute lover. There is going to be some time where I will, do some stuff like Cletus and Cars.
Snuggle.
Yeah. Norman Snuggle. Yeah. He'll jump over this table, and I don't want to do that. But basically, Norman is quite a lover. If you guys go to some Cletus and Cars stuff, I might be able to go to some of them, particularly the ones that are in Florida. There's one in Texas. I doubt I'll be able to make that, but we will see.
What's been your favorite personal build?
Favorite personal build?
C60.
Oh, man, yeah. There is a car that I had, still my personal favorite car. And if you guys are ever looking for the ultimate platform, best bang for the dollar, it is the C6 Z06. Okay, the car is still pretty darn good looking. It's very aerodynamic. It's very lightweight. It is such a difficult platform to be able to beat. It is so sick. So the gearing is good. It can be able to hook. There's so many positive things you can say about the C6 Z06. That was one of my personal favorite builds. So I got the car with like 68,000 miles, and I was scared to death that it was going to drop a valve. It's really a common thing, with those cars, and it is a true problem. So that being said, I saved up the money. I drove the car for 1,000 miles, and I was just like, oh my gosh, man, I'm going to go mod this car up, and it was still one of my favorite builds. One of my good friends, Keith from Keith's Pit Stop, has a C6 Z06 built very well, bang for the dollar, and you can really make one of those cars super fast for so cheap, So I turned a Ford guy into a GM guy. It's absolutely amazing. So
can you ask Norman how much he would charge for a signed picture?
I might be able to give you a licked picture.
Norman, sit.
All right. I don't know if he'll sign one. We can try. I mean, maybe we can do a paw print. I don't know.
Look at his
All right. So somebody asked, started doing my own HP tuning. What would you recommend for more advice? There's a lot of decent stuff on the forums, but again, think about free advice. There's a lot of, you got to weed through the BS, and there's a whole lot of crap that is out there. So there's a lot of good stuff, a lot of junk too.
Will you be selling Norman's puppies? We will be going to Norman's dad for puppies to get Norman. You can say that.
Okay, well, I don't know how to say that.
That's what I just said.
All right, so we will probably be going to Norman's dad for puppies and Penelope.
It gets us closer to Norman.
Yeah, long story here. All right, so anyway, let's see here. How many ideas? Robert Swenson or Roberta Swenson. I'm sorry. I don't know. There are some good companies that do Hemi swaps and they make good wiring harnesses. I don't know who to point you to. So, all right, let's see here. What else do we have? You got any other questions for me either? Do I do bench tunes? Yes, I did. I just mentioned that a little bit earlier. I do the mail orders. If you need to send me a PCM, I can do that as well. If you have HP tuners, that does help. It makes it a little bit quicker. Not exactly cheaper, but it is something that I can bring to the table. So let's see here.
What is your liquor of choice?
So if you watched earlier on, some of these guys have been watching from the beginning. So this is Whistle Pig, and it is a fantastic rye whiskey, and I really should whiskey. Beer, Dogfish Head 90 Minute is it's a pretty potent IPA.
Like acquired taste.
Yeah, that is a very bitter IPA, but it is very potent, and one is good.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, we're going to go. All right, we're going to go for the next, say, 8 minutes, and then we're going to wrap this up. So, for a beer, but not. I don't drink that often. It's usually probably about once a week here, and we'll probably just have a whiskey.
Fort Myers soon?
I actually just came back from Fort Myers, but I might be going down to Fort Myers in the next week. Well, maybe about 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't see how I'm going to be able to make that work with going to Pennsylvania.
It'll be September.
Oh, yeah, it might be September here. Unfortunately, I don't get to watch F1. I would love to. I'm absolutely fascinated by F1 stuff, but I have no time to be able to watch that. I don't know if they stocked ECU for 89. Yeah. Somebody asked, any hobbies? I absolutely am head over heels in love with racing go-karts. But that is something that I will share with you guys at some point. Once you've experienced karts, it's freaking nuts. I will definitely elaborate more on that at another time. Norman needs his own channel.
Yes,
Maybe.
he does.
You know, I've often thought about sticking a GoPro on Norman for a day and just seeing what he does, but it would probably be just like a lot of sleeping and possibly licking himself inappropriately, something like that. So I don't think I would let Norman drink dog beer. Yeah.
Oh God, poor bear.
All right, so I'm just trying to go through a couple of other these. If you guys got any other final questions or anything like that, please let me know. I don't use TeamViewer at the moment. I have thought about it. I've had people beg me to do it.
It's so hard to like get you to sit down now.
Yeah, I mean, me getting to sit down and use and log into somebody else's stuff and all that is kind of.
What's your favorite PCM to tune?
Spread so thin. My favorite PCM to tune. Ugh. Man, dude, E38s are pretty awesome.
Where's the dot from the thumbnail? Bring back.
Oh, Norman.
Shave the beard or no vodka for a month?
I don't know.
No vodka for a month.
Oh yeah. Well, my wife's a big fan of beard. The beard has turned into another
Whiskey.
whole. Yeah. What's
No
that?
vodka.
No vodka. I don't really drink
You're saying
vodka.
shave the beard or don't have vodka for a month.
I'll just not have vodka. Yeah, yes. I mean, I like the beard. You know, sometimes when I'm bored, I just sit there and stroke it and possibly.
Sometimes in your videos you chew on it.
Yeah, I do chew on it. I've noticed that. So it's like, yes, Roberta Swenson. Thank you. I've thought about that. It was pretty cool what the Boosted Boys did with their go-kart there. But I will tell you, there are some nasty 125cc engines out there that would absolutely shame a lot of stuff that has a much bigger displacement.
Brady said Keith is drinking all of your bang drinks.
Oh man, you need to tell Keith to slow down there, buddy. I was getting concerned there for him. It's like he's got to pace himself. That's all. So Bang energy drinks are that's tuner food, and I love a Bang energy drink, and it's pretty freaking awesome. Definitely helps me kind of get through if I'm like not had enough sleep, and I can kind of pound one, and it's like boom, ready to go, ready to roll. Groundhog whiskey. That's what whistle pigs are. Oh well. Here, it looks like a pig, so I've never heard.
Pig a groundhog?
I've never heard that before. I've never heard that before. All right. Yes, 2017 SS Sedan, fantastic platform. That was definitely something that I considered as a project car versus neighbor, but I like the good cop, bad cop idea. Please remind me of that. I will probably say something like that. I like it. I like it. It's a very good one.
Norman says there's no replacement for displacement.
Amen.
Oh, look.
Hey, buddy.
Speaking up, he's so tired.
Got a cart to race Leroy with. No, it's not quite like that, but no, Norman didn't pass out. He's back. He might have momentarily did. I don't know, but then
he needed a breather.
Yeah.
Smoke break.
Yeah. Smoke break. Yeah. All right. Yes, the bangs are totally and freaking completely legit. They are awesome. Somebody asked if we're hiring at the moment. No. In the future, possibly yes. Okay. So, but we'll see how it goes.
What do you think of the Lambo that you tuned?
The Lambo. We kind of touched on that a little bit with that, but it's I haven't seen exactly what it has dynoed. Tavares said he was going to bring it back. We're going to go throw it back on the dyno and see what she does. I'm interested to see what it puts down. It put down, I want to say it was like 680 on a Mustang dyno or something like that allegedly reads low. Mustang dynos can, but it's not, and they can read high. So Mustang dyno is up to the interpreter, or I say interpreter, the operator, to be able to put in exactly what the settings are. So you can have a Mustang dyno that reads low or high, it just depends on what you put in there. A lot of people are like, oh, but it's Mustang dyno numbers. We'll see. So we're going to get the dyno, or get the Lambo back on the dyno and see what she does. I would like to be able to up the boost and see if we can make some more.
Did you learn all of your knowledge from Norman?
Yes. Norman's taught me a lot. Let's just say that, but no.
You need some sprinkle in some power, aka timing
yes.
t-shirts. Those are coming.
Yeah, we are going to do some sort of possibly like
timing bay shirt.
Yeah, it's going to be either a timing bay or like a wizard.
It's not going to say timing bay.
Yeah, it won't say timing bay, but it would just we're going to do something like that. We are going to do something of that nature. Also, let me know if you guys are interested in either like koozies or cups or something like that. That might be something that we might do. So yeah, Norman's the brains behind the operation. He just gives me he's the shot caller and all that. So.
Oh, it's pretty.
What are you even looking at there, buddy? All right, so we got about 2 minutes here. All right, so let's just. I know that he said 900. That was kind of like a flywheel number. That's what I was told. I haven't really, So.
What's your dream car?
My dream car. I really don't know.
You're so up and down with what you're interested in.
Yeah. I really, I don't know. Right now, a McLaren 720S is. I wouldn't say it's my dream car. It's something that I'm infatuated with. It's incredibly fast. I've had faster cars than that, but for that being the stock car as the benchmark, as being one of the fastest cars out there, it's amazing. Would I ever spend such money on a car like that? Probably not. I'd rather have something else. So, but the McLaren 720S is an amazing car. It's something that's like an infatuation. Yeah, the C706 that I owned was absolutely amazing. I mean, we made 840 pound-feet of torque and 840 wheel horsepower. You're not beating that with a McLaren. So, no.
You still work for Tom Tiberio.
I do some work with Tom Tiberio. I'm actually supposed to meet with him in a couple days. We tune in European cars, not with any sort of other stuff. So I do watch some other YouTubers. I was watching some Mighty Car Mod stuff. Of course, I watch Cletus' stuff. Norman does play with Holly.
Thoughts on eBay Turbo Kit?
You get what you pay for with eBay. Mark my words. If you spend good money, you should get good stuff in return. If you are cheap on something such as eBay stuff, chances are it's not going to work out as good. It is going to be better than stock, but a lot of times eBay has been a reality check of bang for the dollar. So no, I would not really recommend it. Typically, you can, okay, let's say this really quick here, and we're going to try and close this pretty quickly here. You can have a junky all-around parts and have a fantastic turbo, and it will be a win. You can have fantastic parts everywhere else and have a junky turbo, and it will turn out like junk. Just remember that. So if you're depending on your power adder to be superior and really perform, spend good money on the power adder and all that stuff. So
how did you find such a beautiful dog? We didn't find him, he found us.
Yeah, Norman found us, yes. All right, so interesting SSRA kids for F bodies, and I'm not sure who they are. Chris McMillan said, what do I feel like about the vet finally being mid-engine? I've been a vet purist and whatever, but it's like, dude, if it's in the end, if it's a better overall package, then hell yeah. The technology ought to be great, and with everything that is going on, we're continuing to make advances in the right direction. Everybody's going to have something to say about it, but in the end, they always do. Every time that they do, there's a lot of people who complain about it, and in the end, it turns out typically to be better. So I'm excited about it. Something about let's see here.
Norman says build rat rods and trust the rust.
Nelson Racing Engines, thoughts on their turbos? They use very good, high quality stuff. I will say that, and you will pay for it. Totally warranted. They use top notch stuff, and you're going to get a very good overall thing. So, anyhow, it's on a. I don't even know how to answer the shift bearing question. Or shifters braking. So sorry, I don't know how to answer that one. Favorite car to tune? Let's end on that one. I'm not sure if I would say the C6 Z06. C7 Z06 brings a whole lot of. It is difficult to tune, but it is very, very rewarding. And the C7 Z06 is an absolute masterpiece when it's done right. As well as the C7 Z06, they are both fantastic cars. Very, very tough to beat, but
Norman wants to say bye.
Norman, you want to say goodbye? Come here. Come on.
You're gonna
Come on. All right. So Norman, say goodbye. Norman. All right. Well, he's saying goodbye.
Tori wants to say bye. Penelope, everybody.
All right. Here, this will be the last question here. Somebody asked, would you like to see a unique celebrity? Zach Brown Band. That'd be great. Something like that. Hopefully, being up in there, that would be pretty cool. I'd like to be able to meet a bunch of other people, be able to take some guys out for some crazy rides of their life. So anyhow, thank you guys very much. Thanks for watching. God bless. We'll try and do some more Sunday stuff, and thanks for tuning in. If you guys have some more questions throughout the week, think of them and maybe fire them next Sunday. Maybe we'll make another drink or do something else. Who knows? Who knows what we'll have on next week. So hopefully we can make good with the people that didn't make it. So, all right. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. See ya. God bless. Oh, God.